Well guys, we made it to LS Fest. Now we're gonna make the first test and tune pass. I'll catch up with you guys a little later after this pass and kind of let you know what happened, but this should be a rip. Alright guys, so today I'm talking Well guys, here we are for round one of qualifying. Hopefully it goes well. The car is running right. I broke my shifter, but we'll be okay. Can still shift it. Probably dial in for like an 11.6, so we'll see. But that felt a lot faster than yesterday, I can tell you that much. I might have just gotten myself kicked out. I might be lying, you never know. We'll see. Thank you. 11:46. That was a good clean one. That was good. New PB. We took a whole second off the PB now. That's crazy. It'll be crazy once we have the Caltrax leaf springs on here and all the suspension on. It's going to be way faster. Look at that. We're going quick now, boys. We're not fast, but we're quick, which is nice. All right, guys, here we are for qualifier 3. We're trying to aim for an 11.5, so I need to slow down just a little bit, just barely. So hopefully it goes well, and hopefully I don't get disqualified. To slow it down.
I didn't fucking slow down. I went until 11.1.
Oh shit!
They're probably gonna not qualify me.
They should. Yeah. They're probably just gonna put you, I think, at 11.5, and then if you break out, you just lose. Here we are for round 1 of eliminations at LS Fest West 2025. I dialed in for an 11.5 class, so we'll see where that goes. I've been running kind of inconsistent on it. I ran an 11.4 yesterday, and I just squeezed down an 11.55 for qualifying. So we'll see. I kind of lowered the shift points to try and slow it down just enough to where we're running right at that 11.5. So hopefully I can make it happen on this first pass and then be consistent. But you never know. All right, I'll get you guys back on as soon as we start running. That was a race. That was a race. That was sick. Hell yeah. We made it back in one piece from LS Fest, luckily. The car performed great. Found out we had a couple things to work out, and I'll go through those here shortly, but honestly, I'm surprised it ran so quick. I was thinking it was going to hit top 11s, like 11.9, and that was going to be it. And after the first pass, I thought that's all it was going to be. But once we got the carburetor fixed, which was at the end of the first run, you guys would see in the first part of this video, that I get to the end of the track and you hear popping in the background, and then the car just flat shuts off. If you watch the tachometer gauge, it just dies. And that's because we found out later, and I forgot to record, unfortunately, it is what it is, that I had a massive vacuum leak from the base plate of the carburetor to the main body, and there's a gasket between there, and we thought that the car finally made all the boost because it's finally under load for long enough that it blew out the gasket. When we got back to the pit, Robbie basically diagnosed it with some carb cleaner while I was watching the AFR gauge and seeing if it would idle, and it was running real rough for a little bit. Got that figured out, took the carburetor off, and literally all 6 screws that hold the base plate to the main body were loose. None of them were tight at all. So I got those tightened up, went down the track again, and on literally the next pass, I'm going down and I ripped the shifter handle off of the shifter itself. And part of it's my fault, and part of it's just that it's not like strong metal. If you look at it, it's like pot metal. But the shifter handle itself is a little bit longer than stock. So when you're yanking it, like I was, kind of violently, you're prone to breaking it off. And apparently I'm not the only person who's done this so far. And it's just kind of just some cheap pot metal that they chrome, and it is what it is, you know. It's gonna happen when you're really sending it. So the next pass I went like 11.7. So, and that was not as bad. First pass, I hit the limiter on the 1-2 shift for like 2 seconds, and then on the 2-3, I hit the limiter all the way through the traps. It was bad. And then it shut off on the first pass, so that's why the time was so bad. But 11.9, just first rip, driving terribly, that was pretty sweet to see that 11-second slip when it took so long to get just to 12.5. And then the next pass, 11.7, then I started dialing it into 11.5, then I was going too fast. They'd only take me in for 11.5, and I was running like 11.45, 11.46, and then finally in qualifying I got one run where I ran 11.55, but then that was going to be too slow for the index that I was allowed to run in, which was the fastest I could go with my safety equipment, which was 11.5. So dialed in for 11.5, got to start eliminations, got lucky the first elimination, I'm not going to lie to you. The other guy just happened to break out worse than I did, and I got to the stripe first, so just got lucky on that one. The second round of eliminations, I got paired up with a Camaro, and I broke out. My reaction time is the thing that lost me the race on that one. Had I had a better reaction time, and I didn't break out at the end to try and catch up, I would have gotten it, but the car had it. The car had the power. I was just asleep at the tree, you know, putting away my blanket and my pillow to get going. And you can see it when you watch that last clip of me taking off, is I really should be letting go of the brake on those yellow lights, but I'm letting go on the green. So it's just a little bit more delay, making it just slow enough to where the other guy ran slow. He ran like, I think he was dialed in for 13 and a quarter, 13.25, and he ran like a 13.3 or a 13.4. And I ran a 11.4 or an 11.5 something. No, it was like 11.78. Something, it wasn't that much off of a breakout, but because my reaction time was so bad, I couldn't really get him. The car has the power though. The car's definitely running them down, you know. Makes sense with the stagger, obviously, because bracket racing's weird. If someone dials in a 13, they can run an 11 car. They just start them 2 seconds earlier and then let the 11 car go. And in theory, that should be an even race to the end as long as your reaction times are correct. So, like I said, in that instance, I lost because of my reaction time. But the car was doing great. Best 8th mile it's ever had, best quarter mile it's ever had, obviously. And I was having trouble slowing it down, which means it just wants to go. But in order to keep running at the track legally and really get the full potential of it without getting kicked out all the time, I'm going to have to put a cage in it. how long that's gonna take, and if I can find a fabricator that'll do it, that's a different story. We'll see kind of how that shakes out. I really want to put a terminator on the car just so I have more data. Well, really for the boost controller, because I don't want to buy a third-party boost controller and then wire it into that spaghetti I already have going on. I would like to get the terminator and just rip all the wiring out and redo it, because I didn't do a very good job the first time. It was a botched job, and it was a perfect example. I installed this shifter with a weather pad connector, then I cut it off again and installed a pre-made, I don't even know what these are called, Molex or Deutsch connector. So it's already got a splice in it for one thing. So this is an example of kind of the bad wiring I had already done. It just doesn't look good, it's not attractive. And the terminator would be my incentive to clean up a lot of my wiring. Plus I know a little bit better about the practices in terms of coloring for standard GM stuff. That way in the future it's easier to figure out wiring on the car. But enough about that. Let me show you kind of the spot that I'm talking about where the carburetor was leaking vacuum. This spot right here, you can kind of see it where the bit of gasket sticking out, but where my fingernail is, that's where we thought the vacuum leak was with the gasket. Like I blew it out, but when I took the carburetor off, all 6 screws were loose on that plate that held it to the main body. So that was one issue. Then prior to that, I already knew I had an issue with this number 2 wire. I remade it and somehow still made it to where it's laying on the header down there. So I borrowed one of Robbie's wires. Well, I basically took it. It was one of his old wires. So that one's on the car now and it runs fine. Other than those little hiccups at the track, it was smooth sailing. It was really good. Got to go meet Smitty of Smitty Builds, cool dude. He ran his Volkswagen out there, got to see those guys. Got to see that guy Hannibal from last year, red Camaro, that took me out in the second round too. And they're cool guys, you know. They're just there to have fun, try and be consistent, be in competition. And it's a good time every time going out to LS Fest West. We had a great time, cruised the strip a little bit, had tacos. I might include some of that stuff in here. And none of us had real big issues. We all kind of finished. Robbie, go watch his video when it comes out. He finally got to go to LS Fest in like 3 years without breaking something, so that was cool. Got to see him make some new PBs and really get down, start figuring out the truck. It was cool. Definitely a good time. For what's happening with the car next, I really want to do a Terminator. Which is the wiring / ECU controller. But I also really want to do a Ford 9-inch, which I have the housing sitting right there and the axles sitting over there. I just got to install it. Again, that requires fabrication skills that I do not have or might need to acquire, but that needs to go in because that 4-lug Ford 8-inch is probably the next thing that breaks if I actually hit the trans brake while doing this stuff. Because now that we have a slick on the back of the car, oh, actually I have a slick on the back of the car, I forgot to mention that. So these are some Hoosier 26 by 8.5 drag bracket radials. They work great. They're actually perfect for that track because it was so hot in some spots and it was kind of greasy for some people that if you use like a super soft compound, you were kind of prone to spinning. The track prep was good for the most part. It was just if you went after a couple of street cars that are running regular tires, it would get a little marginal, but for the most part I was getting lucky and going up there when they just freshly prepped it and swept it, so it was good for the most part. I honestly, this is the first time where the car didn't spin at all. It was honestly weird because I didn't have to pedal it. I was able to just get it up on 2,000 RPM, 2,200, and then floor it and actually move. It was amazing. And then when it would come up on boost, it was crazy. That first run I made where I was on a rev limiter hard on both shifts, I honestly wasn't expecting the RPM to come up that quick. It would hit 4,000 RPM and jump straight to 7 pretty quickly. Like you could see it on the tachometer. it would hit 4 or 3 and then just move really quick, and I wasn't ready for that. But it was a good time for sure. So honestly, the next thing up is a lot of us feel like we left some stuff on the table at LS Fest, being that we were in competition and trying not to break out. So the plan is maybe this weekend, literally the weekend after LS Fest, kind of like how we did last year, is go to Firebird right here down the road and go make some passes and see if we can figure some more stuff out. I know our buddy Crumbs, he wants to go run his truck because I think he knows he has a 9 in it and he just wants to get it out. And Robbie, I know he's figuring out the boost controller and maybe some suspension stuff to figure out. So go to the track, get it sorted out, and hopefully by next race season we're all set to go and we can actually go to some events as a team or as a group and go rounds and, you know, have a good time as a group. Other than that, it's just great times. In this case, Hughes Performance transmission, killing it, rock solid, hasn't skipped a beat. Torque converter's perfect, transmission's perfect, nothing's wrong. All the tubing that Omar did from Twin Built on the car, I mean, look at it. Would you look at it? I mean, look at it. Do you see it? It's beautiful. Held up great, obviously. You know, a few of the friends that have helped me along the way, like Robbie with a bunch of fabrication, helped me figure out a bunch of stuff on the car. And, you know, just running great. Still have all the chalk on it. I gotta wipe that off before we go out next weekend. And a few things that I learned is the turbo is on its way out. That's one thing, is she's definitely burning oil. That is for sure. Because every time I'd be on it and I'd hit second gear and it would just open the wastegate for a second, like it would just kind of like puff real bad out of it and then it would go. I don't think there's really anything I can do for that as far as it being on the car right now. I already have a rebuild or reseal kit for it, but I don't know if the turbo is too far gone. Luckily, the VS Racing team was able to get me a reseal kit for that turbo because it's kind of old, but it's a good one. It's the billet impeller wheel 7875, I think Gen 1 or whatever version. It's a good turbo, it's just I need to reseal it. What I do plan on doing is getting another turbo and swapping them, and then trying to reseal the original one so that I always have a spare turbo, because I do have that 6-liter right there. And I have some other goodies to go along with the 6-liter that might end up in another car. So I would like to build another car, preferably a drift car. Because going out to LS Fest every year and seeing these guys sliding is amazing. Especially when you see the Camaros, the 3rd gens out there going crazy. I need that. Either a 3rd gen or a Fox body or another Maverick. If I could build a drift Maverick to be along with this one, it'll be amazing. I know AJE makes a K-member to make it all Fox body suspension, so that would be really nice. And it would retain the old Maverick style, but that's another time. Other than that, had a great time. Hopefully you guys see more frequent videos as things have kind of started to stabilize with other things I had going on. I'm starting to have more time to be filming and getting stuff done. Right now I'm actually planning on changing the oil on this thing, but you guys have seen me change oil on this like 6 times, so I'll just do this one off camera. It's the same procedure as usual. I just finally bought the socket for the oil filter, so it makes it easier to spin off and put on. Other than that, hopefully you guys see a video next week of us at Firebird. And I'll see you guys next time.